Hi guys.
Hi.
You know what, yeah, I'm gonna cut to the chase. Lucas, I got a question for you, yeah? Mr. Alpha Male. Alright, cool. So let's say you have an alpha son, yeah? When you have your alpha son now, how are you gonna teach him to handle situations on the streets? So like, or in the playground. Are you gonna teach him to fight back or turn the other cheek like Jesus? Like, what do you want your son to be on?
Honestly, I don't know. I can't. One thing I won't do is raise my son the way I've been raised, if that makes sense.
How is that?
I came back from Nigeria when I was 10, right? I got sent to Nigeria. I came back from Nigeria when I was 10. So when I went to year 7, right? Remember, I'm this new freshie kid now.
Nigerian
right?
accent,
You know
all
what
that.
I'm saying?
Trust me, we've been through
So-
that. We've been through that.
My dad must have said to me, anybody beat you, you
them
beat them
back.
back.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying to you? I got to school now. First you that touched me, year 8, you whacked him. Got 5 detentions my first week, got excluded. Wasn't allowed in school for like 2 weeks. And I always took that as a negative because from that point onwards, my whole life was based on you touch me, I touch you back.
Okay.
Do you get what I'm saying to you? And that didn't really set me in good stead because I became more aggressive with it, like my nature and whatnot. So I wouldn't want to necessarily like prejudge my youth. Like it depends on how he is. Like instincts are something you develop based on your environment. I can't tell the kid to go and be an alpha male if he's not that in his environment. Do you get what I'm saying to you? Like, or you don't know how to have the instincts that I necessarily had when I was a kid.
Basically, if you didn't come up in the same way, if you didn't have to, you don't have to be as street smart as I had to if we're not in that same kind of community. But okay, let's say
Just be smart.
yeah. But okay, but let's assume your kid is getting bullied in secondary school. He's year 9, you know, or year 10. You know, the later age, he's a bit older. He's dealing with bullies in school. We're assuming we live in a nice area, but we still got them little snotty kids, bullies in school. We sees them in the hallway. Should he look down and walk past them?
No, you're always gonna, for me anyway, you're always gonna tell your kid certain fundamentals in it, like defend yourself, or don't look for trouble. But if trouble comes to you, defend yourself.
So what's defend yourself? Because defending yourself could be reporting it to the teacher or police, getting a lawyer.
Again, based on what you're saying, playground and that.
But you can't bring up a pussy-o. I was brought up as a pussy-o. Where did that...
What is it? We'll get that, but hold on, 2 seconds. Because I want to know what you mean by that.
I get
You need
it,
to
and
unpack
this is what I'm trying not to
Yeah.
go into. Like,
need
I'm
to
trying not
unpack
to
that.
use my own personal.
Why? No, that was the best experience.
No, because I ain't gonna raise my kid like that. I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, I don't
You
want
hope
you
you
to
don't
be
have
a
to, innit?
You have
pussy.
the
Or
opposite
like
upbringing.
ideally, I wouldn't even want my
But
kid
how were
to,
you raised? And tell us how you was raised.
Like, normal, innit? Like, you like I told you, my first day at school, my dad said, "Don't hit you hit them back."
Was your dad your only influence in that?
The roads was an influence.
So
as you
tell
grow
us,
older,
what do you
the
mean?
roads was an influence. It depends, man. It depends. It's hard to like say what you would want for your kid in situations
especially for
because
now,
you know what it's like. You've felt the dangers. You've seen the dangers. You've lost people, seen people, go through stuff. It's if you generally are a person of love, you're not gonna want your kid. You're not gonna want to give birth to a child and want them to go through all of that, whether it be to learn. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense for me. So
I was brought up as a pussy.
What does that mean?
And obviously the world is a big, bad place. And I think a lot of stuff I went through, I think there's a level of, armor or street smarts you have to give your kid because I was robbed by Edmonton youths when I was like 16, 17.
God.
They robbed me for, they did, they robbed me for my, I don't give a fuck. They robbed me for my phone when I was like 16, 17. Like I used to have girls from, I think it was Edmonton as well. I used to have girls from Edmonton always look at me on the bus. I was just a big pussy all my life. Maybe that's why I'm acting mad right
But
now.
what do you mean when you say what do you mean you were
Oh, I
raised
just
as a
had
pussy?
I was just brought up on kisses and love and rabbits and Disney and I can recite all Disney movies.
Lonnie,
Word for word.
That's a normal child. That's a
I
normal
know, but then
childhood.
when I get burnt in life or
That's
when I
not
go
because of
through-
Disney.
No, no. But hear
No,
what I'm
partly
saying.
still. Some girls think they're princesses, fam.
Everyone can see it. I'm an overgrown princess. And when I've got burnt in life, I feel like if I had some I don't know what I'm looking for, but it was a bit tougher.
So a bit more fire.
Yeah, if I was a bit more tough, it wouldn't hurt me that bad. Do you know what I mean?
But do you know what the thing is? I totally get what you're saying, but I don't think that's because you was raised as a pussy. Like I don't think you was raised as a pussy. That's where
I was raised as a pussy.
You were
I
raised
don't
as
think
a
you
girl,
were because
stereotypical girl.
Not even just a girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that way. Because I feel like as a girl, you're encouraged to not be that way, and I don't think that you're raised as a pussy. I think you're raised as a woman, as
there's
how
wolves
people
in this
expect
world.
women to be.
I know, but you have to give children a level of.
No, I agree with you.
Do you know what I mean?
I feel like I'm the same.
You can't
I
bring
feel
up
like I'm the same.
You can't bring up a princess. I won't bring up my daughter the way my mum brought me up.
Yeah, no, I
You can't raise a naive child
No,
in today's
yeah.
society
I agree
because
with
they learn
because I
things
feel
very
like
quickly.
it's for different reasons why we inherit like and get different habits. So obviously for my mum, she grew up in Dominica, she came here, like it wasn't so much that she was raised as a pussy, but she has had to cope with things in her life that's meant that her coping mechanism was to please people. And almost she never learned to stand, not even that she didn't learn to, she wasn't encouraged to stand up for herself. She was often intimidated as a child by people that should have been protecting her. So you don't grow up with that fire when even the people that are meant to be protecting you aren't protecting you. Of course you're going to cower, you're going to be a people pleaser. And I feel like because she's got such a heart of gold and she just wants everyone to be she doesn't like upsetting people. You know, people that don't like conflict. And for a long time, I really hated conflict. And I got to an age where I was like, life is it's an integral part of life. Like there will be conflict. So if you are going to continue to like grow and be better and get the things that you feel like you deserve in this life, like you're going to have to figure out a way to deal with that. And I feel like having my dad help me mitigate that, because he's very much like doesn't give a fuck. He's a small man. Like he's not out here trying to fight people. He's not even aggressive, but he thinks what he thinks. He knows what he believes is right. And he doesn't care about upsetting people or getting in people's way or doing things, telling people, look, this way ain't right. It needs to be this way, etc. So I feel like it's balanced out, but I totally get what you mean about that whole. And it goes to what B-Money was saying about being raised as a girl. Like you're socialized differently, innit? If you're a boy, if you're a black boy, if you're a white boy from a certain area, or a black girl from a certain area, or Asian girl from a certain area. So
big mistake to bring your daughter up as a princess, though. Total princess.
I totally agree
Then
with
she'll
you.
get demons ruining her fucking life.
I think
and she'll
demons
be
gonna pop up
tapped.
anyway.
Don't do it.
I think demons gonna pop up anyway, but I agree with you. I think a lot
Yeah.
of people are naive. Like my thing was, I think with my stories, like my mum was, I feel like she just didn't want to be a stereotype, so she tried too hard to shelter me. But I think it's hard to shelter anyone in this society that we live in. You're still gonna have external influences. Like a lot of parents would not even understand that you could be a good you and get in passer, but even though you're not involved, like you could just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. But so parents can't fathom it. They're like, yeah,
and
but they
it's
don't
hard,
believe
isn't
it.
it,
Yeah,
when you have parents who haven't been able to physically remove you
from that situation,
space.
yeah.
Because once you hit 12, 13, like statistically, like your peer groups are way more influenced than your parents. You hear parents say it all the time, like, I've literally lost control of my child. He wasn't like this
Or
before.
they don't know, like when a kid gets stabbed, it's like he was a good boy. Yeah, at home with the,
Exactly,
you know,
yeah, that's what
in
I'm
the
saying.
8 hours that you're with him,
Yeah.
but they call him bullets for a reason. They literally call him Shank. They call it free Shanks. He was a good boy. I'm sure he was a sweetheart. But
At home.
some people
At home.
seen another side to him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's what it is. So like you can, to take it back to the question about like raising a pussy, or like you know when your child's turning the cheek like Jesus. My mum was like, when I was young, I'll give you true stories. Yeah. So when I was young, like primary school, same story as you. I spent time back and forth between here and Nigeria. So the times I come back, I had a Niger accent, and then over here, like I think at one point in nursery, all these like white kids was bullying me, all putting like that little prickly flower down your shirt and that. I was going home crying. I think my mum told me this. I don't remember this, but she was like basically like, bruv, you gotta stop coming home and crying. Like go do something about it. Like my mum taught me right out from primary school. Bro, the next day I smacked one white boy's head off the brick wall, and then it was too much riding out. Do you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
like. You get in trouble. If you defend yourself, you get in trouble. If you don't defend yourself, you get in trouble. So, you know, like what you said. But then I got to secondary school. And between going here and Nigeria, life just toughened me up. Because in Nigeria, my teacher will smack me. He will smack my head off the wall. And over here, I can shout at the teacher. So you kind of learn where you fit in the ladder. There's the kid who's totally off the rails. And you know what's mad? Yeah, sorry, I'm ranting now. But like, in school, we thought there was that you who was on it. He's a bad man.
Yeah.
No, he probably came from a very, wild home. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's some people who came from like abusive homes. So in school, they're on punching in your face. That's their response. The ones who we think are pussies, they just think about the consequences. If I have a fight with this person, I could get suspended. That can affect my education. So it's like, I wouldn't raise my child to be a pussy. I just want you to be cautious. And at the end of the day, you're going to be who you want to be, because fear is needed. We need to be scared. Fear helps us in life. You know, it teaches you need to fear the fire in your house for you to run from the house. So we need fear, but we also need bravery. We need to be brave, and even in situations where we're scared, we still need to know how to be brave. So there's been situations where I've had situations where them have been onto me, and even though I was scared, I had to put on a brave face to get myself out of the situation, to be able to calm down and think what's the best solution in a situation. So I feel like it's a balance. I have to teach my son when it makes sense to run, but when it makes sense to fight. Your daughter too.
If you have a son, yeah, and he's like, obviously he's like 14 that age, yeah, and like, what would you tell him about like when he sees a group of maybe not a big group, but like 3 men at the shop, and like how is he supposed to deal with those?
Hold your head up, walk normally, talk normally. Don't, like,
but what if they try to rob him or rough him up?
Defend yourself,
You have
but
to
if it
defend
doesn't
yourself,
make
innit?
sense, run.
But that's where your instinct kicks in. If someone's attacking you, your go-to is that flight or fright or whatever.
Yeah.
You at that point, there's only so much logical thinking you
One
can
of the
do.
two
With
Do what makes sense to you,
within a
sort of
split
thing,
second,
ultimately.
So,
Do you know what? It's really interesting that we're saying what we're saying, because a lot of us, I think our parents couldn't really have that direct understanding of what you're going through day to day, be it in school, be it in the roads or whatever in your environment. And I feel where we've grown up in these environments, that's why I said I couldn't say I want to raise my kid the way I've been, and saying it's completely different. I want my son to go eating. Like, I want him to be a mover and a shaker in society. Do you know what I'm saying? Completely other end of the spectrum. Do you know what I'm saying to you? That's my wish and goal. You know, the reality of life is it's all about instinct and taking things in your stride. Because at the end of the day, even just for like 21-year-olds now, like we're fairly grown, innit? Like 21 is now. Their way of life today is different to how I was when I was in school. Do you know what I'm saying to you? Like, these lot are stabbing each other for next to nothing.
But they've been doing it.
No.
They've been doing it.
Hear me out. Before, people used to stab each other, yes. But there was almost like a code of conduct. Do you know what I'm saying to you?
Long time ago.
There was, you say very long time ago, but I grew up in it. It wasn't that long ago. Do you get what I'm saying to you? I feel like, you know, when we was growing up, there were certain principles that you could adopt even from your outside in your environment. Like, I remember, even in my estate, for example, like I said, I used to play football. I was really good at football. Anytime I wanted to get sucked into stupidness, there was a couple olders. I'd be like, bruv, spaghetti legs, go bang ball, man. What you doing? Like, you dickhead, bruv. That's not for you, bro. Leave that alone. And so much so now that even when I'm in my hood, when I'm back in the woods, I'm like, bro, and I always say this, like, I can never tell a young buck to carry a toolie, but I can tell you what to do. I can't tell you to go and not to carry nothing. Like, bro, I'm not you. I don't know what your struggle is. I don't know who's on you. So if you need to carry a struggle, that's you. But I can tell you the consequence. You can look at 7 years plus each tooth that each sweet that you have on that show. Like, you can look at 6 years for the shank. Like, you can understand the consequences, but ultimately those decisions are for you to make.
But you know what? This is what it's like. That's what it's actually about. Like, as adults in general, we do this with children. Not even as parents, just as adults, we do this with children. Like, we have this attitude where you do what I tell you to do because I told you to do it. And yeah, it works in them getting to, like, you know, have the behaviors that you want right then and there. But ultimately, a lot of children do not make the connections between their actions and the severity of the consequences that come from those. And so whichever way you choose to discipline your kid, excuse me, it's going to be entirely up to you. But there's a disconnect in, like, understanding the power and the level, like the capacity that children have to understand what you're telling them. When your child goes to stick a fork in the plug, okay, cool, you slap their hand away. Yeah, you've slapped them. But you can't just slap their hand away and let it be that. You got to tell them. And there's another thing, like, as much as we think things are obvious, like, things aren't that obvious. Like, your child is curious. They don't know that if they stick the fork in the plug, they're going to get electrocuted. But as far as you're concerned, that's so obvious to you. We forget. And it's in those moments, those teachable moments, where patterns are formed and children have an understanding of why they do certain things. I don't not do this because it's the wrong thing to do. I do this because if I get caught, then it's going to be peak. They should also have an understanding of how these consequences affect not just themselves, but other people, the people around them. Like, oh, if I get caught, I'm going to get in trouble. Yes, but do you understand why you're getting in trouble there?
Yeah, what you're saying, is it's unrelated, but this is what I was deep in over there. I was thinking, like, being raised, I was raised with discipline, and the discipline I was taught was fear of consequence as opposed to the benefit of the lesson.
Understanding,
so I didn't do something because I didn't want to get called a this, that, or the third, or get slapped. I didn't do it because I saw the benefit. So me waking up and cleaning the house on Saturday, I'm not doing it to have a clean space and my mental. I'm saying, at least this woman won't come and start cussing me. I've done my bit. I can hear good boy. Maybe I might be allowed to go see my brethren. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it was punishment as opposed to solution. But if I have children, I want to raise them how I am, because I can't lie to you, I don't think I'm a bad man in any way, shape or form. I'm not super brave, I'm not Superman, but I always think about the consequences of stuff. Sometimes that can be too bad because it can make you an overthinker, but I think for the most part I'm alive, I'm still here, and I've been in some sticky situations. And I think it also applies, we're talking about, your son, but even your daughter. Like, women are taught that men, like, just to take it a totally different direction, but women are kind of taught that, boys will chase you, boys will apply pressure, like, even just in terms of, like, I would want my daughter to be like, listen, don't play hard to get, because if you play hard to get, a guy's gonna play harder to catch.
I was
You know
having
what I'm saying? So I think
conversation
it's
the other
those
day.
kind of languages we need to make sure our yeses are yeses, our no's are no's. So, like, teaching your daughter not to be intimidated by boys, because I think a lot of girls, especially young, like, they've been in situations that are not as dark as you might think I'm leading towards, but just situations that they were not ready for or unsure of. But because it's a boy, they thought, he's a boy, he leads, I just follow because that's what you do for boys. So you got to teach your daughters as well, because that translates into them going into a boardroom and demanding a higher salary.
Yeah.
That translates into them being business owners. So, like, just to encourage your children, like, listen, be confident. Don't let anyone think that because they got bass in their voice or they're bigger than you, you need to kick a man in his shin. You should be able to feel comfortable walking through a park wearing whatever you're wearing. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
No,
but
you're
I
right.
think
You're
that's
100%
instilled
right.
from their youth.
So I see something the other day. There's someone saying, I'm grinding so hard right now so that my daughter doesn't have a cash app or.
I saw that in her bio, the OnlyFans thing. I saw that.
But a rich kid still will.
Listen, Baddie made $1 million in 6 hours, so it's not that bad.
I think it just depends what you're doing. Like,
Yeah,
your
but
mentality.
you say that, right? Let me tell you something. You say that, right? And the instant gratification you get from these things is great. But do you know how many young girls that do things when they're 18, 19, 21, and at the moment, it's all this money, all this attention, and they get to 30 and they're like, that was fucking traumatic. But the way it was presented to me, the way this was framed to me, I thought I was doing something. I thought this was special. I thought this was big. And they look back and they think to themselves, I shouldn't have been doing that when I was 18. I shouldn't have been doing that when I was 19. I shouldn't have been letting 40-year-old men send me money for naked pictures. Do you know what I mean? And at the time, they deal with it and they look back, and we've said it, but the discussion came up about the bad Barbie thing. We was like, they think the OnlyFans needs to be raised because a lot of these people look back and they're like, big man thing, I was groomed. No one sees it like that at the time. It's only with that, like, hindsight is 2020. It's only when you look back and you think to yourself, right, that put me on a really problematic trajectory, and like, I shouldn't have been doing that.
So what age do you think OnlyFans should be? 21?
This is the thing, is subjective. My opinion is going to be different to other people's opinions. Like, I'm not the person to say this. What I do believe is 18 is too young, and I feel like a huge part of that is because I work with children. I don't know. It doesn't surprise me. But
I know we've gone off of it a bit, yeah, but remember, OnlyFans was not created for the kind of content that we associated with the most. We act like it's not young people that's on there as well. There's young people who have the same people that are buying skins on Fortnite will pay for the girl that they fancy to show them boobies when they're young. I think it's them as well.
Trust
So,
me.
but just like I'm trying to link the whole your son being a pussy to like the OnlyFans thing, but I think it's like I said, this is what I said about the decisions before. You've got to empower your children. I'm talking like I have kids. I don't have kids, but whoever I know, yeah, whoever
no, it
I
doesn't
know,
matter.
yeah,
You should really have these
once I
discussions
get to know your
before you have kids,
personality
big
a
man
bit,
thing.
I'll tell you, bro, I don't think you should. I got brothers who are neeks, right? I would not encourage them to try and be moving mad if somebody ever stuck it on them. I'll just be like, bro, sometimes you gotta take the L. Bro, you know what, as men, yeah, something that's so hard there, there's been situations in where you might feel like you got badded up and it's gonna burn you, but you know that it really made sense.
Why do you have to take the L?
But it's because I don't want
Because
to die.
then you walk away with your life.
Yeah, there's been...
At the time, but you can come back later.
No, you
what?
can't.
That's the thing that I think a lot of people downplay.
All right.
Like,
Bygones
Sorry,
can't
just
always-
Lucas,
bygones can't always
let me
be
just say this real quick.
bygones.
Let me tell you something, yeah. Let me tell you something. Obviously, Lani, everybody knows something that you do, yeah, at the moment on the internet, yeah. You're allowed to talk about a certain individual,
Yeah.
and you can get away with it.
Yeah.
If I was to target a rapper, yeah, whether I was cool with him or not, and I kept chatting shit about a Rolex, yeah, saying, oh, this nigga owe me money, he's out here the roadie. Someone's gonna crack my head.
Oh,
They
literally
said
gonna say,
Stormzy drove a Lambo to
I want
Chip's
them
house.
to come crack
Do you
my
know
head.
how angry you have to be to pull up to someone's house in a Lamborghini?
I want someone to crack my head, though. That's the difference. I'm ready for all the
Okay,
smoke.
relax. So let's just take it back from you for a while. Listen, listen. We just want to say that our views are not represented by the Lani. My point is this, yeah. Women can get away with certain
More?
things. Yeah,
Right.
do you know what I'm saying? My
Right.
point is that you can get away with that. I would have to think carefully about
Yeah,
the
true.
consequences. You know what's mad? Yeah, like I always say, there's people like I always see people like on Twitter, like guys and girls arguing. People are like, oh wait, when you're arguing with girls, you got so much energy, but when it's guys, you ain't got no energy. The difference is more time, man. Them know if I'm arguing with a girl, I'm not gonna touch her. I can't touch her. It shouldn't escalate to that point. If she touches me, either way this goes, it's an L on my part.
Yeah.
It's an L for arguing with a woman. It's an L for touching a woman. It's an L by getting hit by a woman. With man, them, it can just go left. We know that at a certain point we need to stop talking.
Yeah, someone else
And
said
it
this
has
to
to
me
escalate
actually.
to
I was
something
taking the
else.
piss, but I
Because
understood what he
you
said.
know what's mad, yeah? If man them argue and all you do is argue and it doesn't quite escalate to a fight, you're both pussies because you didn't fight. If you fight, you're both pussies because you thought about something like, why are they fighting? With men, you can never win. You can never win. So it's
Yeah, for real though.
you can't win. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. So it's just about teaching someone to like, yo, have sense, have balance.
A lot of what we're talking about, we have a better insight on because, like I said, and what we was talking about earlier, we've grown up here. We understand certain things. We have certain instincts. So even like with regards to like raising your kid not to be a pussy, like it's not so much your decision to raise him not to be a pussy. If that makes sense, it's more a case of like, okay,
Let him know he's a pussy.
I know. Yeah,
You're a pussy. That's not you. That's not you.
No,
Yeah.
because my dad could not tell me that, even if I was or I wasn't. Like he could. I was a decent footballer. Like my dad couldn't even tell me how dope I was at football. Do you know what I'm saying? He knew I liked football, but that wasn't their thing. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Communicating much.
Like it wasn't their thing. Even though I know how much he loved me and he wanted to support me and all the rest of it. They showed it in many different ways. Do you know what I'm
Just not
saying?
the ways that would
I'm
work
not at
best for you.
home, I'm working, you know, you're not gonna see me for another 12, 13 hours, you know that I'm doing that for you. Do you know what I'm saying? That's how you got to understand love in that sense. We understand the talking side of it. So a lot of what we're saying now is, you know, transitioning that. When you have your kid, how much talking are you gonna do? How much talking to get to know your kid? Alright, cool, you know what, you are a bit of a pussy or still. When you see a group, move correct. I'm not trying to get no phone calls to ride out and, nah, you're not that guy.
How do you move correct? Sorry. So for
It depends on the youth.
Like, okay, for example, like you're walking at night,
yeah,
and then it's just you on the roads,
yeah.
You're dumb.
and then there's a bunch of men on the either side of the
Yeah.
road, and you know naturally you look around, innit? When you're walking, you're just musing, you know, just generally, and then you see the man and you're just like tunnel vision, like you're just straight. Like
How should you act?
You can't do that, man. You can't do that.
Do you make it clear,
Tell
like,
us.
listen, I'm just trying to get home,
Do you know?
or
For
do
me, I'll be
you?
honest with you. It depends on the area that you're in. It depends on your locale. If you're in a location where automatically your brain is already telling you that you're afraid,
Yeah.
like you know that shit goes down here. When you now see the guys, slightly you might not even be able to look because it's that fair. What's it called?
Fight or flight.
Naturally, you're just not going to want to. You know what? It's long, man's a pussy.
But I
I'm
feel
not
like
on it.
you know,
The area.
sound like we
So
live
what-
in kidulthood. Like we don't.
Brother.
Listen, I hear what you're saying. Okay, you know what? Yeah, you grew up in. Do you know what the difference between me and you is? Yeah, I think you grew up in one spot for most.
Nah.
No. Okay, you spent most of your life in one end. I'm not capping.
Not really too.
But most. Okay, whatever the
Dude,
case
so-
may be. Yeah, what I'm saying is. You've grown up and you've known the politics of a certain area. So like if you live in area A and you know that area A has a rich history with area B, whether you were a big part of that area A's group, the fact you're associated with this means that you will interact with area B the same way. Am I right or wrong?
Kinda.
So for example, if you're from Peckham and you know that there's been a long-standing beef with Brixton, for example, let's just say, you would treat Brixton a certain way, whether you were a
part of
road,
that.
whether
Or
you're a
not,
part of it
yeah.
or not, you would, didn't it? So that's what you're saying. Whereas me, I've had to live in so many different ends and I've been thrown in at the deep end that I just navigate everywhere like I'm part of here. So like what you're saying is like, I'm not going to look at every group of black boys. I'm not going to look at you how I don't want people to look at me. You might look like the most menacing group of boys, but I'm not going to look at you like you're a threat because I am of the belief, I know it's going to sound so Mystic Meg-ish, yeah, but I'm of the belief that you're going to attract that. If I look at you like you're a threat, it's going to somehow transfer.
It's actually not Mystic Meg, like it's actually
Yeah,
like,
but my point
like
is like,
serious, like.
if I look at someone like they're a threat, I guarantee I'm going to frown at them. I'm going to screw them because like in my head I'm thinking, I'm not even thinking. Can
I ask you a question?
Hold on. My frown might not even be anger. My frown might be like anxiety. Like, okay, how am I going to handle the situation? So my thing is when I see like a group of youths or something that I think that it could, I don't even think it could stem into that. I just think, oh, man, them. I'll look at all of them, look at them. Cool.
you
No
know
one
what
looks like they're onto me. I'll keep on
you been-
moving. If somebody now is onto me, I'll deal with that a certain way.
Have you been in a situation where you felt powerless because you know that you're in a powerless situation.
Bro, I've been no homo. I've had man stick it on me. Pause.
Right. So then, in that moment,
I felt like a bitch.
so how did you navigate that?
I had to just have to go home in the mirror and
You just
say
took
all
it,
the
basically.
things that I wanted to say in the mirror. You dickhead! What?
Right,
What? But at the time, I was like, bro, you got it, man. Man, you got this, bro. Say nothing. You got it.
See, for me, I don't trust anyone. I trust in everybody's extremity.
Of course.
Do you understand? Especially where you grow up around violence, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I can say, like, where you're a prick, shut up, dickhead, whatever, right? Peoples, you take it, right? You can say that in another dynamic and be like, bruv, what? You can say, are you alright? That used to be something that in our set, like me and a couple of my brethren, you could say, are you alright? And that could be a trigger. Yeah. It's like a swear word. Do you know what I'm saying to you? Now, for a normal, rational person, that doesn't make sense. That's not normal. Do you know what I'm saying to you? So when I'm talking about hood and I'm walking past or you're walking past a group of guys, I don't start thinking rational in that moment. I think to myself, these people I'm walking past, there might be 5 men in there that are not rational because this is the jungle.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying to you? Now, again, like I said, for example, if I'm, in an area where I know this is foreign territory, for example, right? I will move accordingly, brother.
What does that mean, though?
Which is, for example, if there's 20 men over there, my demeanor, I'm not walking with extra vim in my step and like I'm
You're just
looking for
walking
something.
like an adult.
Why don't you just turn around and
Just
go the
walk
other way?
normal, though.
But
thing is,
again,
both of
but
what
the
you're
reason
saying-
why, the
both
reason
of
why
what
I'm
you're saying is
emphasizing
true.
on walking, I'm walking like an adult. The reason, naturally, I wouldn't walk like that. Maybe on the normal one, I'll just be carefree, like, yo, whatever.
how
moving.
are you-
I might even be happy,
so
bubbly.
you adjust
Do know what I'm saying?
yourself.
But I am.
But you're
That's
not
what I'm
gonna-
explaining.
yeah, I
I am
get you.
adjusting myself
I get you.
because the situation calls for that.
You need to be on your
Do you
P's and
understand?
Q's.
I need to be
get
on
it.
point.
Sorry,
I
I'm
might-
confused. How do you walk?
He's
we don't
basically
know
saying, okay, you know what,
specifics,
yeah,
but, like, you change your demeanor. Like,
Not-
if I was to walk in here on
Like a
smoke,
nerd?
if I was to walk,
Whatever
Is
that
it gonna
means.
work like a nerd?
No,
you
but
know,
less
okay, for
threatening.
example,
So,
you know
for
when you go
example-
into a new workplace,
so, for
let's give this as an
example, yeah.
example, yeah, and you're like, and you walk in, you just humble yourself physically. You're like, hello, you're
Oh,
not
so
walking
it's
like,
gonna-
hi,
oh,
what's good?
oh.
You having a nice morning?
Oh,
Because it doesn't
wait.
make
So
sense.
he's gonna walk past the man them on a humble, like you're gonna.
You're going to turn down a little bit.
Okay, you're gonna turn down.
Again,
The
do you know
lower
what?
the
Do you know what I'm gonna
No,
do?
you're still
do you know what I'm gonna
confident,
do
so
for
go on.
you? I'm gonna walk
Yeah, do it. Show us.
like a pussy.
Show me.
What does that mean?
No, let me.
Show me.
No. Do you know what it is? Yeah, let's break this down
Please
so
show
that
me.
we don't get too gassed up on everybody trying to feel like they're a guy. Do you get what I'm saying to you? And I think this is the problem that a lot of people have. Like, yo, there's moments where no matter how much of a guy you are, you're not a guy.
You're not the guy in the place.
You're not the guy right now.
And don't try and be a guy because that's when people get in trouble. I'm one man. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not Jesus Christ, I'm not God, I'm not Muhammad. So I'm not gonna walk past 15 man or 5 man even that are on job in the area where I know they're on job and move a certain type of way. I'm not a dickhead.
Okay,
that
but how do you
even,
know
to
that?
me,
No,
that's
but
you
that
being a
sounds
pussy.
great. It sounds
No,
great.
it's not even sounding great. That's just real, being honest. There's a lot of men that walk past a lot of man. I can't help it, innit, man, a bad man. You've been poked up 7 times now. You're just eating out of a straw. All because of a look.
Okay, but
No, I'm just saying, like, all because of looking.
But you're describing a certain type of mind. The guy who goes to work 9 to 5 and he's wearing a suit and tie. But you're talking from one kind of.
I'm
But
not
can
even,
he demonstrate,
bro.
please,
I'm talking
for
about.
me? I
I'm
wanna
talking about.
see.
We can't legislate for those group of guys.
Let me answer for
that
you,
we're
Donnie.
walking
Let
past.
me just answer
Can
for you
you
quickly. Hold on, no,
demonstrate
chill.
how
No,
to walk like a
you don't need to
pussy, or
demonstrate.
I
We'll tell
wanna
you this. We'll settle this. Yeah, you see when you're in the club, yeah, and there's that guy that walks in and his head.
How many
held
men
up
have you
high.
dated?
You know, there's a guy that comes in the club and you notice him walking. You don't like. You notice the guy that's walked in. You've seen him. He has presence. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, there's other guy. He's coming. His shoulders are kind of slouched. He's not looking around. He sees people walk.
So
past.
he should walk.
Have you ever read the
walk
room
past
and
the-
you have you listen that's just as a you, yeah? Have you ever just been in a room and seen the dynamics between a group of guys? And have you ever been able to tell who is the leader of the pack, who's like probably the send out, the one who can get joked on? Have you ever deciphered that? I get what you're
So you
saying.
just look in your phone and you.
Yeah, you avoid
Because you know what it
confrontation.
is. You know what it is. What Lucas is talking about is something we do every day anyway. But when you're in situations with a heightened threat, it's going to be more of a conscious thing, or it's going to be more of a thing where you're like, okay, I need to adjust myself. Like, for example, when I start a new job, I don't stand at the door before I go in and be like, okay, so put your head down at a 45-degree angle. Make sure you don't look at, like, it's not that calculated.
wanted to know
but when
what
you're
it
in,
looks
when you're approaching someone and it's a significant threat, it's the kind of threat you wouldn't get every day in your own area or whatever.
You can.
You adjust
I wouldn't.
yourself,
I
innit?
personally wouldn't even walk past. I would turn around and run the other direction.
You could even walk
So you
past
could
a
do
group.
that.
You can walk past a group of people and they're actually bugging you because
Yeah.
they are onto you.
Yeah, but
For
and
the
if you
sake of it.
avoid eye contact with them, they're going to be onto you.
But,
This is what I'm saying.
but the thing is, guys,
This is what
even
I'm
as a
saying.
woman, don't you get where they're coming
that's what I
from?
wanna ask
Because
you.
when I walk past like a certain group of guys at a certain time of night, it's not even so much that I'm necessarily afraid. Because I'll be honest, like, it's not fear that comes over me, but it's just that level
You're
of
aware.
like comfortability.
Yeah,
I'm just
you're
like,
aware.
it's not that I think that these guys are going to jump me and rape me. That's not what it is. But at the same time, I actually don't even want to engage. Just conversations are awkward. Like, I don't know what you're going to say. It's going to be something polite, is going to be something that's inappropriate. It's just, you just have to think about navigating that situation. So you're just like, let me just avoid any kind of contact or interaction whatsoever. And you speed up your pace a little bit. You see girls they pretend on the phone, or they speed up their
Yeah, of
pace,
course,
or
man.
they intentionally
I've got
look at the
ops
ground
anyway.
and say, don't talk to me.
I've got ops out here, so I can't just walk around freely.
All I'll say is that I think the best thing to do is not to approach every situation like it's a threatening situation, because that the way you approach
I
the
agree with
situation
you
is
on
going to
that.
determine
Yeah.
the way you deal with it in that situation. So I think everyone should try and keep a level head and just keep it pushing.
All turn around.
I will say this: be aware of your situation, who you are in life as a man
Know
or a
yourself.
woman. Be aware of your environments, where you're going, how you're
I feel
moving.
like unless you're tapped, like, you know, some of these guys, you know, some like the ones that you were talking about, I can't help it, I'm just on things. I feel like unless you're a bit tapped like that, most people adjust themselves
Yeah, most
accordingly,
people are
man.
not going to be on it.
What?
Are you sure? A lot of
Eh,
boys
what?
are dickheads.
All I'm gonna say is just assess your environment, innit? Because
Yeah.
I can't trust those guys. I trust myself. I know what I'm on. I know what I can do. I don't know what the next man can. So I don't want to give you a reason.
I ain't having kids anyway, so I ain't got to tell them nothing, man. I'm cool,
Just don't
man.
give them a reason.
Salute.
Simple as.